Just to give you a brief, I can't, we have a motion to go out of executive session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sorry. I've been under the weather, as you can see. It's been an intense week. But just as a point of reference from what we were in executive session for, I mean, the reason why we had to be in executive session is because that is an opportunity for us to have a conversation with our legal counsel. If we are a quorum, then that's how we have to do it. That's the way the open meetings law works. And so this was a very important opportunity for us as a board. One thing that did come out of that, and I can talk about it, is that we plan to place a ban on any further or new BESS units in the village. And our legal counsel is going to prepare that, and that will be a local law, which will have to go for a public hearing. People can comment on that. We also plan to take any legal recourse that we have in our power. And that means on a local level and also on a county level. And maybe a state level if we have to.
And we've already started an investigation into, the facility, and initially with a FOIL records request to multiple agencies.
Right, correct. We're still waiting for an air quality report from Orange County Hazmat, and that should be forthcoming. As soon as we get that, we will pass that information out. And then we also have invited O&R to be at the table so that we can discuss their connection with this entire issue. It's not just Convergent, it's not just Powin, which is the battery company, but O&R is also a key player. And so we need to know the entire picture.
Mayor, may I
Yes.
expand on that? So in 2019, O&R put out an RFP for providers. We have a letter stating they did that. They selected Convergent. And just to remind everyone, this was all done in private land. The village benefits absolutely nothing over this. If anything, the public bears all the risk. So there's a lot that we need to understand. What was the due diligence that happened between O&R and Convergent? Did they ask the questions about the manufacturer, about Convergent, about what their engineering designs are? We know that they would need a permit to operate. We haven't seen anything like that. I'm confused why O&R would not have wanted to see the certificate of compliance from the village prior to allowing Convergent to connect to the grid. So we have a lot of questions. When did they connect? How many times? What was the nature of that? What was the nature of the RFP and the questions they asked? So I really would like O&R to be here. I know you've invited them. I'd like to know when. If more people want to come back out for that, that might be a good show to do that. But yeah, there's a lot of questions. I also put some FOIA requests in to help us do some of the fact finding to the New York State Public Service Commission, Department of Public Services, NYSERDA, New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, Orange County Emergency Services, and I had previously gotten a FOIL from the Warwick Valley Central School District, who had went through a similar situation, hired an engineering firm. So we've read those documents, and so that's all part of the fact-finding mission. But as you can see, there's a lot of holes that we need to understand. Do you want to expand any more, or do you want to?
No, just going back to hiring a consulting engineer, we're in the process of doing that as well. That's just going to take a little time, but as soon as we can get that engineer on board, the better, especially for the environmental issues that we're asking about.
Will you use a different one than the school used?
I think we will,
Okay, good.
yeah.
Thank you.
So we're going to move forward with the board meeting as soon as I can get my agenda up on. Can I have a motion to accept the minutes of December 12th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 2025?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And authorization to pay all approved and audited claims in the amount of $310,938.35.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And under correspondence this evening, we have a report, an impact report from Wickham Works for the year 2025. And then also a report from village engineer Keith Woodruff regarding the special use permit application for the proposed residential building at 30 Brady Road. And now we'll open it up to public comment. The first public comment is usually on agenda items only, and since convergence was not actually put smack as language on it, I'm more than glad to take any comments on convergent or the battery fire. That's why we're here. Yes,
Hi, thank you for
Name
having
and-
this.
If you would
meeting.
state your name,
Oh,
just for the-
Camilla Mullick, I'm with Protect Orange County.
hi Camille.
Hi, can I have a few questions? You said you're gonna have a ban on no new vests, but are you going to make sure that they are no longer eligible for a certificate of compliance? And, ensure that the facility is shut down?
That's definitely a legal question that I can't really answer, but it's something that
Something we're looking into.
we're looking
something
into,
that-
yeah.
I can't answer that question right now either.
Okay, and you said, that it was built on private land, and are you saying then there wasn't a secret review for it, and they didn't have to come to you for any type of permit?
They went through the planning board process,
Okay,
and they did do a secret review.
Correct.
so it was a village planning board that gave them, I'm assuming a special use permit, right?
No,
What
it's in a light industrial zone,
Uh-huh,
and I believe it's an allowed use.
energy infrastructure?
It's actually said battery storage, I believe.
So you had battery storage already in your zoning laws permitting?
Yes, but that's a question as to why and what that meant. I think it was an interpretation.
So are you possibly saying that the statute that they relied on was misinterpreted?
No, he's not saying that. He's saying the planning board approved the project.
Okay. So, is there any process that they can rescind that approval?
Typically, the answer to that is no. It's an enforcement matter now, not a planning board matter.
What about invoking public health statutes when something is a risk to public health?
That's still not a matter for the planning board to be involved with. It's an enforcement matter.
Because the state and the county have police powers over public health risk, right?
That, if they go through a process through either an administrative hearing or judicial.
Okay. So let's get to the air quality issues and the testing. You said you were going,
Real quick, before you do, if you'd like to look more, so on the village website, in 2020, there were 3 planning board meetings that I found that Convergent and O&R had come to. And those minutes are well documented if you'd like to look those up.
okay.
Just trying to help point you in the
Yeah,
right
it's just-
direction.
Yeah, it's just that the comment, the presentation made it seem like you didn't have jurisdiction or authority over this. And it seems like there was some jurisdiction over it.
A planning board approval was required and was obtained by conversion.
And no zoning variances or anything like that were required?
I don't believe so.
Okay. So you, at this moment, you can't actually prohibit them from fixing whatever and plugging back in, right?
No, that's a possibility. It's
That's what
something
we're
looking into.
exploring.
Okay. So in terms of testing, air quality testing, you said that Orange County Hazmat did some air monitoring. Do you know what equipment they used and what protocol they used?
We would expect to receive that when they give their report.
But you had no input into that? Were you able to call them and say, hey, we need you to do X, Y, Z?
The scene was under the direction of the Warwick Fire Department. They were the ones that were in responsible charge of the event. They were the ones that called Orange County to bring their hazmat unit here. I'm sure Orange County knows what they tested for and where. I know that you, Mayor, asked that the county place a testing site, a monitoring site, away from the actual location of the fire.
Okay, because the gold standard for air quality testing in an event like that is to actually take a grab sample of the air, both upwind and downwind, and actually put it in a canister and send it to a lab. And then there at the lab, they can test for 170 different chemicals. So I think anything less than that, I would complain about vociferously and say this is, this was not the proper air quality testing. Also, at one point you guys had purple air monitors here in the village, right? I remember they were placed somewhere in Warwick when the CPV plant was approved. I was told by Warwick residents that you were gonna put a particulate matter monitor up, a purple air monitor.
Yes,
Do you know what happened to that? Where is it?
I do not know,
I
no.
don't know if that was the village.
It might have been the town outside the village.
Okay, but if it's up somewhere, it should be
I'll check.
recording some data.
Do you know, was it through Sustainable Warwick or?
I don't know who it was, I just know that our members told us that, I don't know if it was the town or the village, but they were putting one up because of CPV, they wanted to monitor their air quality.
That would be closer to Pine
And I would
Mountain,
think that if it's operating and its sensors are working and it's functional, would also catch the particulate matter from the battery fire. But if they didn't do that grab sample, then now the only thing you guys can do is extensive soil and water testing. And I wouldn't trust Converge or a random testing organization to do it. I mean, it should be a vetted firm that is not connected with industry in any way, because, they tend to be biased. But, yeah, I would look for vociferous, kind of stringent testing, the highest standards possible.
That gold standard that you were talking about, what do you call it? You said it's grabbing, but
Summa canister testing.
Sorry, say that again?
It's a Summa canister testing. I don't know if it's viable at this time because it's 2 weeks since the event,
Yeah.
but it might very well still be viable because I think there are still odors around the facility.
there were strong odors in my neighborhood, like the night of the event, and we talked with Orange County Hazmat about that morning, and they, I didn't get the name of like the process that they were using, but that seems like we need to follow up with them.
Right, because the other big risk, likely risk, is hydrofluoric acid deposits in the area. Because am I right? This is a lithium iron phosphate battery, right? And is that the same chemical composition of the batteries at the school?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's all I have to say right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, hi.
Thanks for
How are
coming.
you?
Hi. So I appreciate all of the things that you guys are talking about, especially the part about possibly permanently banning this. I think Convergent has been a real stain on our history.
Can you let us know your name?
Oh, sure, Megan Cook, sorry.
Thank you.
I mean, I'm definitely not an opponent of environmental awareness. I mean, I was a special ed teacher for a long time. I ran a hydroponics program, so I love all of the initiatives that you guys do, and some of them are going to be highlighted tonight with the Wickham Works. And I understand that right now, there's no oversight, it's private property, and I understand that. But when the project came before the village wasn't powerless, because under the state law, there was real leverage through the SEQR. As the lead agency, the planning board had the authority to issue a positive declaration, require a full environmental impact statement, and force a serious examination of site suitability, safety risks, emergency response, capacity, and alternatives. Instead, the project moved forward with a negative declaration and with site plan approval that provided no ongoing operational oversight once the facility was built. That decision matters because once this facility was approved on private property, the village gave up most of its leverage, which is kind of why we're here now.
That's right.
Without imposing strict conditions, the village's role is reduced to reacting after something goes wrong, which it has twice now at this facility. I take my 2-year-old for music classes on that property. The fact that it shares a property with a dance studio and 2 gyms, you know, is alarming. So can you shed some light as to why it was opted for a negative declaration rather than a positive one? And additionally, can the public be provided with a completed leaf? Because I looked on the village website, there's only part 1. Part 2 is not filled out, and part 3 is just missing completely.
Okay.
And I
Look
did
at that.
email the village clerk about that. I know she was on vacation, so she's probably catching up on a lot of
Yeah.
emails. But it would be much easier than having to foil it,
Sure.
because I'm just very confused. Like, why would there be it almost feels like the process was rushed. Not just on the part of the village. I mean, I've read all the notes. You asked a lot of hard-hitting questions at the beginning to Convergent, and Frank Genova kind of just like, I mean, the entire time, he's just been gaslighting and deflecting, and then, I mean, he's kind of making village idiots out of us, and so, at what point do we say enough with you? And yeah, like, I just feel like this all could have been prevented if we had just taken a little bit more time and done that positive declaration. I mean, this was the first battery facility in our town, like, we had no, and they were using the Centipede. They had never had any experience with this. Like, there were just so many factors for this to go wrong, and yes, that's my main question.
I feel like, is that part of the thing that we can also ask the engineer to look into? Because that was a question that I had, is why we didn't, and I understand that the planning board determined that it didn't need a full EIS, but understanding better, like, why.
The Centipede didn't exist at the time the planning board gave its approval. Planning board approval was for a GE.
The GE system, yeah.
Yeah, and then they switched over to Powen, and you guys were not made aware, because I specifically remember you saying, hey, when did this happen? Powen didn't pay its contractors, and there have been $500,000 of liens on 28 Church Street because of that. The first lien was sent to the property owner, and then Convergent went with their insurance company and they put a bond out, so that took the lien off of the property, but they still owe that money. And then just a month later, Powen declared bankruptcy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then a couple of months after that, they're slammed with another lien. So I also, like, I know it's private property. Are you guys in communication with that property owner at all? Like, is there oversight on his part? Like, what are the terms of that lease? You know, are his hands tied as well?
If there's things on the property and he gets rid of it, then someone has to take care of the land or someone else.
Yeah, there's $500,000.
It's a dangerous white elephant.
And it really also just goes to show, again, like, how dangerous Convergent is. This is not a good company that we're working with. They're a massive liability, and I just don't want to let them stay here and wait for something really bad to happen before we can finally say, oh no, they need to go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Sir.
I am Matt Sullivan, live in the village. Just wanted to say, I know you guys have been through a lot this week. It's tremendous stress, I'm sure, on everybody, especially during the Christmas season. And you guys got a lot of responsibilities. I know everybody up here takes them very seriously. But I think it kind of, this incident, I think we dodged a bullet. And, but I think it does point out one of the main concerns that a village board ought to have is the health and safety of the residents of the village. And really no entity can take the responsibility for that other than the board itself. You know, you guys, the buck stops here ultimately. I don't know the planning board interactions and Con Ed and all that. And I'm not trying to place blame, because we all make mistakes. I mean, we get sucker punched, things come out of thin air, and you just don't expect them. I get that. But what I am concerned about is we take this as a lesson moving forward. You know, this isn't the only hazardous situation in this village. And I think we got to revisit, you know, the level of scrutiny that we gave this. I mean, we give more scrutiny to a sign on Main Street, it sounds like, than we really gave to having this facility run in here. And I know you guys, you give, you have to give other people responsibility really to drill down into things like the planning board. But something obviously was missed, maybe several things were missed. And then we have concerns, like Jones Chemical. And that's a major facility. Obviously, everybody here knows that that's a major hazard. I'm not gonna drill down to Jones Chemical. I've lived in this village for 30 years now. I'm well aware of it. I'm not sure everybody is, and I think that, more of that should probably be spoken about in terms of communications with village residents, so they are aware of that, because I think what happened here is nothing compared to what could happen at Jones. So, not to make a big deal about Jones, I don't want to pick on them, but just communication I think is important, and maybe a greater awareness of the health and safety of the residents. That's what I want to say.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Matt. Anyone else? Yes.
Hi, my name's Stephanie Kowalski. I just have some questions. I did email them to the clerk, but there's a lot of discrepancies online between the things that the village is putting out, what Jesse Dwyer with the town is putting out, what the news is putting out. So the fire started on the 19th,
Yes.
and how long was it going?
It, 1920, by Monday, they could actually, it had basically stopped. I believe Tuesday, they brought in their crews to actually be on site.
Okay,
So temperatures were low enough that they could actually,
so more than 24 hours
Yeah.
now. Okay. And the fire was reported how? Like the fire department heard an alarm and they called Warwick?
Yes.
So it wasn't that an alarm is set to go and, there's no alarm that goes anywhere?
there is.
Where does it go?
There is a internal alarm that Powen has, that they're monitoring temperatures.
So I know when this happened on school property, the problem with it there was for a week and a half before there was a fire, the alarm was going off.
Yeah.
And it was going to Powen, and that was it. It went nowhere. So then people were calling the Ward Police Station and saying we hear an alarm, and the Ward Police Station called the fire department. Nobody knew what to do with it. So then the outcome after that was the school demanded that the alarm be hooked to the school, so when it goes off, the school hears it. So this alarm is going off to Powen, who went bankrupt and sold to another company. So this alarm is going nowhere.
Nowhere.
And this is the second time that there was a fire here. So after the first time, I think the village should have said, we need to take these steps. And it was going on the same time as school. And I'll give you credit, you're more transparent than the school board has been the whole time. And I sat through all those meetings. But it could have been much worse, and next time it could be much worse.
Absolutely.
And I was over there recently more than once, it still stinks,
Yeah.
so there's still
Residue,
chemicals in
yeah,
the
okay.
air, it's still, and you guys live in the village, I think that's why you're doing more, because it's affecting you and you smell it.
Also, the important thing, thank you for the comments, the important thing is, they never had the authority to turn that on.
They
or
didn't,
connect
they
to the
weren't
grid.
authorized to be
They
running.
did not have a
I did
certificate of
see
compliance. So, alarm bells, monitors, I'm with you all day.
Yeah,
If something's not supposed to be connected at all,
yeah,
I mean, the original emergency response plans that they gave had GE, same as decommissioning plans. I had asked when Convergent was here for their canned red statement,
yeah,
which could have been an email,
yeah.
why the switch? And they had mentioned, COVID era supply chain issues. Well, as we've seen, that if you probably researched this too, if you look
They
it up.
also said that they were trying to do it to meet ONR's timeline, that ONR was in a rush, and then ONR came back and said, we would never ask them to do that and deliver us an unsafe product. It's just been a ping pong of,
You're-
not our fault,
It's a
not our
pattern of
fault.
deflection, you're
It's like a
absolutely
hot
right.
potato with accountability,
Right.
at the expense of everyone's health.
That's right.
No,
You're absolutely right.
yeah.
So one of my other questions, and I don't want to have so many, but you did say that the planning board interpreted some kind of code, and that's what led them to not do the negative review. And do you know specifically offhand what that code was so we can look at it?
It would be in our zoning code. I don't have it.
So like I
Yeah.
can have that though, you don't
Or
have
it's probably, it's online.
It's on the website, the zoning code.
And it's a light industrial zone.
Light industrial.
See if I can pull it
And
up.
So-
since there was
And
so.
also,
oh, go
just so you
ahead.
know, so I'll give you some dates to look at. July 14th of 2020, August 11th, September 8th, November 10th, December 8th. Planning board, which I was on the planning board at the time.
And those were all in 2020,
Those are all in 2020.
okay.
And Convergent was there, and the notes, they're written like it's a transcript. I wish you would read them.
No, I read.
Because I spent the whole weekend going through all of the old records and understanding exactly what happened. And on multiple occasions, the planning board,
they
multiple
lied.
members said, we need more information about the security risks.
Mm-hmm.
And there were, the nicest way of saying this, a lot of those were dismissed. And we had to ask multiple meetings, one after the other, until they finally came back and had a one-page letter saying, we have yet to have any incidents.
Yeah.
Now, at the same time, we also heard Convergent say that, we've worked with Pound before, they're not a no-name brand. They were,
Yeah.
they very much were. And the way that they undercut GE and the others was because of the supply chain issue. They nearshored and they took these batteries from China and Taiwan and nearshored them into Monterrey, Mexico, to assemble them there. And they said, therefore, we can get you a better price and we can get these to you a lot quicker. Now, we don't know the relationship between O&R and Convergent. We don't know the timeline between them. My personal opinion,
Yeah.
incentives were very much aligned.
Yeah.
So all these things, and it did not match the emergency response plan. The planning board did ask multiple times, including the attorney, including the engineer, including multiple board members, including myself, tell us about the security risks. And it kept being deflected. And so as a result, to keep the machinery moving forward, we did the long form EAF. To your point, where's all the different parts? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll go look that up too,
Yeah.
because I'm curious.
Yeah.
But the discussions at the time were like, we asked, in the one planning board member, Carrie Boland, asked the most prescient question of all. What happens if it blows up?
We can use the word blow up.
And what they responded, oh, that would be some kind of mechanical transformer thing. They deflected from the overall substance of the question. Well, what about the risk to public health and safety?
Yeah.
And the conversation oddly went towards, well, we have to go through this list. What about light pollution? What about the Indiana bat? And all these other things that you go through in that while we're still waiting on on answers.
Yeah.
And so there is a letter that they sent in November saying we have yet to do this. But then if you really peel that apart, they said we have experience at Powen. But then later, after the first fire, I asked, well, how many of these have you done? Well, that was our first centipede model.
So based on all the things you're saying, because you brought me to my point a lot faster, why would we then not be, as a village, legally able to cancel anything that the planning board did? Because basically everything that was said to the planning board was a lie.
Right.
So then this company did not act in good faith, they were deceitful, nobody did their due diligence, and I question if the property owner even did illegal things and skipped steps on what they should have done to have it on their property, because if I wanna put a shed in my yard, I have to do 35 different steps.
And what you're talking about is why we
Yeah.
need to meet with our legal counsel to
No, I
understand
get that, I just wanna
the
make sure
recourse.
that's like in your.
But you're-
head.
but you're
That's
picking up
exactly
all
what we're
these-
talking about.
It is,
These things.
yeah, it's
Because I
absolutely.
saw you did condemn it, and then someone did ask the same question in my head that, what can you do? And then in a month, can they just be like, oh, look, here's a test, here's this, let me plug this back in.
I will point you towards something else. So, the New York State Fire Code just released their update on December 31st. In that, they took the recommendations from the Battery Energy Storage System Working Group that, as a direct result of some of these fires, another fire upstate, and maybe one somewhere else, that they said, okay, well, we need to go back because there's no federal or state oversight here. And they said, well, we need to put this in the fire codes. And as a result, those questions that we were asking early on that were largely dismissed very much are the basis for now the new fire codes.
Yeah.
And I went through all of those fire codes, and again, I'm not a lawyer, not to talk about
Yeah.
legal recourse or anything, but if anyone were to go through that process, there's a lot more that they have to contemplate now to even be compliant with the fire code that just wasn't there at the time.
And if the village were to take legal action, is that something that residents would have to vote on, or who decides, like, okay, we can
It's
do
a-
this,
it's a
and this
board.
is, it's just the board?
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes.
Hi, I'm Colleen Daly.
Hi,
I just
Colleen.
have a quick question about process. Going forward, as we can see, there were obviously some missteps here, I think, and I kind of think in digging for information, things, I'm not able to find the information I'm looking for either, including the leaf form is totally incomplete on the website, and it sort of looks like it's a reflection of ineptitude, or lack of work done on the part of the planning board, not saying that it didn't get done, perhaps it's just not on that website.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. But going forward, for the process, is there going to be like a series of checks and balances going, like between the boards? Any type of, I mean, what are the requirements for people to have to be, part of your planning board and to approve these items? If it's just, your regular everyday person, but we're on the board, and what are, you're speaking lay terms most of the time, what are the qualifications for them to say, we're declaring this, a negative seeker, what
Right.
is it, like,
Well,
what's gonna happen?
there is legal counsel and an engineer at the table. These folks on planning boards, ZBAs, they do get paid a small stipend, at least the planning board members, but they are neighbors like you and I.
Right.
And some come with great background, and there's a certain amount of training that they have to do yearly. We have encouraged more cross-pollination amongst boards so that we have a greater sense of what's going on, especially with minutes and agendas, to make sure that every board member here receives the agenda of the planning board, the ZBA, and the ARB. We have liaisons to each of those committees. So there is a lot. I think one of the things that is pretty clear to me too is that this technology is a step ahead of public safety. And I think that's our greatest concern.
So I guess my ultimate question here is, going forward, if there is any concern of the unknown or things of that nature, would it be approved? I mean, I feel like it should not have been approved by the planning board because there were still so many questions unanswered. And I don't understand why it got approved. That's kind of it.
Well, I can't answer that, but what I can say is that we're going to look at every legal capability that we have to really investigate it and to see, because we feel uncomfortable with it being in our backyard.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, we're 5 years on, right, from those folks that made that initial approval in 2020. I think it's really interesting looking back at some of the ways that they seem to have been engaged with, and something we know, when you're a neighbor on a board and you're asking questions, if someone kind of makes it sound like your questions are silly or ridiculous, you might be more likely to believe them and back down. And I think that probably as a village, and all of our boards will be a lot more aware that that's a tactic, right?
Yeah. And I can tell you, the certificate of compliance did not happen because our engineer and our building inspector were taking Convergent to task on safety
Right.
precautions.
So are they subject to fines, like daily fines or anything like that for being out of compliance? I mean, I know there's some other items or whatever, I haven't looked up what this would be, but sometimes they're very hefty fines, daily fines
Right.
for being out of compliance or not, or actually operating in the face of non-compliance.
Non-authorization.
So,
They are subject to fines. yes.
so is the village placing a lien on the property as well, or does it go directly to conversion?
Yeah, the village can't place a lien on the property. The village can get a judgment after going through judicial process.
Right,
And that judgment then would be a lien against the property.
right.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
My name's Donna Kipp. I just have a question, like, does this all apply also to the one on the school property, or is that a whole separate issue?
That's the town.
That's the town.
But the town is looking at this very carefully, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that there's a task force, because they're rewriting their zoning, and there's a task force that's looking at that. The one thing, though, is the school district is almost their own entity,
Right.
which is strange. Like, so,
The school district's gonna be at a large financial loss, because they gave them 3 10-year leases, and they can only cancel after the second 10 years, so they're there for 20 years.
28 Church also has a pretty hefty time frame.
For the private people to remove them, there has to be fraud. So the fact that you're hearing all of this, yeah, that's the only way to get them off property.
okay. Anyone else?
I mean, some thoughts here. I'm looking at the new NFPA requirements for 2026. And I don't know whether this facility would be grandfathered or not, but you guys, through your zoning, you can require retrofitting for anything that's a life safety hazard. You can implement inspection and compliance requirements and reporting requirements. You can implement gas detection and fire suppression requirements. You can require emergency shutdown upgrades and emergency response interface panels. So there's a lot you could do.
What sections are you referring to, please?
Well, I'm looking at the requirements, and I'm just doing a general search in terms of what authority you could have as a
Okay.
zoning agency through your zoning code. Because there's a legal question as to whether they would be grandfathered or not. But also, if they had any change in their initial profile, then they could lose that grandfather status. And it seems like what you've described is that they did change substantially from when they applied initially. So my only point is that even if they claim that they're grandfathered, you can argue that they're not grandfathered because they changed their initial profile. And B, even if it turns out they are grandfathered, you can implement all these other requirements that will be, that to protect health and safety. Like, there's a lot you could do through zoning regulations that would make it, very difficult for them and make it more safe for the public.
Thank you for
Thank
pointing us.
you.
Yes, Matt.
Just one last little question. What was the purpose of the storage facility?
So the storage facility is to be used when there is a need for energy, so that if there is peak times during the summer, that they could use that as an energy source.
So it's part of the grid for the.
It's part of the grid, yes.
Essentially what.
That's correct.
For
O&R.
For
For
O&R.
O&R.
For O&R.
Right, right.
Right,
But it's right here, so.
right.
But the issue is relative to O&R's service in the village, and that's why O&R felt they were necessary.
Okay.
We did ask them, and Tom, you may know the date of the board meetings off the top of your head, but when O&R came in here, there's a meeting in which we asked them a lot of questions about the purpose of this facility and also what might be the alternatives, for us in the case that we do need to shut it down, and what the timing might be for them to meet the capacity needs, because they are dealing with some
Yeah, could this-
capacity
excuse me,
issues.
Could this be in any way related to insufficient power generation facilities in the state of New York? Is that what's driving the need for local
Generation?
energy storage?
No, my understanding is
generation.
transmission. So basically, the substation at Wisner, the next closest substation on the other side is in Minnesink. And there's a lot in between that needs to be served. And so there's difficulty in O&R being able to do that. They looked at this as kind of a stopgap measure. I believe that's the way they put it
Yeah.
to us. And that, they also, I don't know whether any of you in the public are aware, but they also own a good chunk of property at the, across from the bus garage. And that was intended to be a new substation,
Right.
Across from the bus garage?
across from the school bus garage. Yeah.
lights
The hallowed ground, you mean?
Not quite, no, it's at the, it's on the County 1A end of it that Orange and Rockland owns.
Oh, that bus garage, I'm thinking of the old bus garage.
No,
Sorry.
You're dating yourself,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah.
no, the school bus garage, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
But it's not necessarily for the residents of Warwick, it's for the grid at large.
Correct.
Correct.
But it's-
Not the way they've
Not supposed to
expressed
be.
it.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be to deal with shortfalls in either electrical availability due to resiliency issues. So if power goes out in a certain spot, this can come in and
But there's
fix
no
that.
way, then they lied, because there's no way they can say that it is for specifically for residents of Warwick.
Or that it only be used by residents of the, no, they didn't say
No, right,
that.
because once the electrons go in the grid,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
go in the grid.
But if there's, the purpose as it was expressed was if there's an issue nearby, that this would be able to accommodate providing power during any shortfall because of something going wrong in the grid or overuse.
I mean, it would go into our zone G, so that would be a wider, much wider area. But the truth of the matter is, and we have to be honest about it, because the state shut down Indian Point, we lost 2,000 megawatts of power, and now we have power shortages. And in order to compensate for that, they build all these solar farms, but solar is intermittent, and it produces a lot of power on a sunny day, but no power, on a rainy day, and so that power is useless unless it gets stored.
Correct.
And so that's really, and yeah, I'm just very upset that Orange County is being sacrificed for all of these crazy decisions being made at a state level. And I wonder where are our local elected officials saying no to the state? Like Orange County is a rural county. It's still a rural county. And we're besieged by infrastructure, like whether it's the Millennium Pipeline or the substations or compressor stations and now solar farms and battery energy storage. I mean, when is it gonna end? Like, when are our elected officials really gonna tell the state of New York, no, it's enough, we've been sacrificed enough?
And masking it as green energy. It's really a money grab. It's a real kick.
I just have one more question. I keep saying that and I don't. They do, Orange and Rockland owns property across from the school.
Yes.
And I had asked the school this, because that was supposed to be a substation, so why did they not do that and decide to come to the school? And the way it was explained to me off the record is it was cheaper and they didn't have to go through all the red tape. But now Jesse Dwyer came out and said that publicly, so it is what it is. So it's also my understanding that there's no way to make Orange and Rockland do something, because they're basically like above everyone else, and we can't say we don't want these battery storages here anymore, and you can't show us that it's storing electricity, energy, and it's working during our high usage times. There's no data, there's no way to prove that. So you can't tell them, we're done with these, you need to build your substation, correct?
Well, by putting in a ban is saying
That's the
we're,
only way, and then
Yeah.
they could just build their substation.
They did communicate to us that that was their long-term plan.
yes.
And they said that if, for whatever reason, this didn't work out, they
it's-
would accelerate their plan. That's what they communicated to us during that meeting.
Did they tell you like how long it went? Like, was it 10 years, 5 years?
The-
Look back at.
I'm
week.
thinking back, I would probably say that I first heard about, and I don't know when the property acquisition occurred, but I think I probably first heard about it at least 10 years ago,
Yeah.
that they were gonna do that.
So long term.
They did say the timing in that meeting, so we
I'll
could,
look at
yeah.
that, okay.
It's not working out.
I just have one more question, too,
Yes,
sorry, and then
of
I'm
course.
done as well.
Okay.
Having this storage facility here, has it made the village eligible for any grants? Like, have you guys benefited at all? It
No.
hasn't even it hasn't even been considered?
In fact, we lost because they got a tax break from
Oh.
the Industrial Development Agency.
The
Yes,
Orange
that's the
County.
idea.
Orange
I-
County
yeah.
IDA gave a
Yeah.
tax break,
And
Wow.
didn't create any jobs.
right.
No.
Wow, so there's like this silver lining, okay.
Well, the other question you should ask ONR is cost.
Yeah.
Because they have increased their rates last year and their rates are going up this year. And they claim it's because of the renewable energy infrastructure. And if they're charging us to pay for this while we're being poisoned by it, I mean, at some point, you know, the ratepayers are paying for this. And that's unfair, and especially if they're getting a tax break on top of everything else.
Yeah.
O&R is getting the tax break, Convergent got the
Convergent,
tax break.
right. But at the end of the day, they pay ONR charges us. So they're double dipping. They're taking from the public in two ways.
Mhm.
I think it is important for us to get them, the mayor mentioned, we've asked them to come. It's important for them to come and
Yeah.
for us to be able to kind of have these conversations with them in this kind of a forum.
And we may do it as a work session, so just be aware, I mean, they're public meetings, but just, it will give us the ability to focus specifically on that. And, you know, we have other things on our agenda, of course, at a normal meeting, so.
And work sessions, no questions, right?
Generally.
Generally, but
We have had a.
we have opened it up for.
Yeah,
It's
and
at
on
the
the
discretion
issue.
of the.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there'll be public notice when those happen as well.
Okay, well, thank you for coming, and I appreciate all the questions, because those questions stir us, they help us, because we have a lot of questions, as you know, so, but thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay.
Any other topics?
Yes, any other topics?
No.
Thank you.
Take a,
Michael?
Yeah.
Am I dismissed?
Yes, you are.
thank you.
I have family.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for coming.
You guys talking about 30 Brady votable?
Are we gonna talk about
Yes.
30? Oh, that's on,
That's on our agenda.
no, we're not talking about it, but it was on the
Correspondence.
It was
correspondence.
a document.
So you can make a comment about it.
I was just, some questions about it before.
Yeah, we got a report from the engineer. Are you part of the project?
No.
Oh, no. Okay, you're a neighbor? So,
Oh, nice, thank
the
you.
engineer did provide comments to the board about that. You can read those online, and they're included in tonight's backup to the agenda.
Was there ever any point of moratorium or stop building? 'Cause I know they.
Well, they have to come to the village board to get a special use permit. So that's going to be something that will occur down the road. It will be noticed to
It's
the
fully
neighbors.
approved, right?
No,
No,
It's not.
no, not at all.
You're talking about the small house there, the little house.
that they're,
No,
You're-
the whole development.
Yeah, you're
Oh,
talking, he's
Oh.
talking, not talking.
oh, you're not,
Oh,
oh,
oh.
okay.
He's talking about Warwick Commons.
Oh, Warwick Commons.
Commons up on the hill.
That was approved like
Like,
Yeah, that's,
decade-
that's,
a long
that's
time
under
ago.
construction.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've got issues with anything, I know we've had some issues with the streets, and Brady Road in particular, and we've had the developer address that. But if you've got any questions, you could address them to the building department.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes,
I have one question about what's on the agenda for trustee rights motion regarding Labella Associates for Warwick Commons Stage 5. So what is that about and who pays for that?
I guess I can explain it.
Yeah.
For commercial and multifamily dwellings, we go outside to a professional engineer to review those documents who's very familiar with code enforcement. And so that engineer, who we have been using for years on even the early stages of Warwick Commons, decided to leave his private practice and join Labella.
Collier.
Hmm?
Was that Collier Engineering or no?
No,
Was
no,
that- oh,
no,
okay.
Collier works for the developer.
Developer, okay.
They're the developer's engineer, so this is our engineer, totally separate. Labella, Martin Rogers left his own firm and went to Labella.
I see.
So we're just
Okay.
setting a new agreement with
Oh,
the
okay,
firm
so
that he
it's
now
just
works for.
Paperwork, more or less.
Yeah, yeah,
But
basically it's.
There
he-
there are oversight,
Mhm.
you know.
Okay. Yeah, I was just wondering, because I'm like,
Yeah.
but thank you very
You're
much for
welcome.
Thank
your
you.
answer, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Sure you'll
Thank
see
you.
me more about it.
Thank you.
Good,
Thank
Have a
you.
good
thank
one.
you.
Good, thank
Take
you.
care.
Thanks for
Bye-bye.
coming.
You as well.
On to motions. Trustee Cheney.
All right. Motion to hire Jose Diaz to the position of full-time laborer at the current collective bargaining rate with the condition of obtaining a CDL within 1 year of hire date. Start date to be January 6th, 2026, per the recommendation of DPW Supervisor Michael Moser.
Second?
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to, oh, nope.
That's you.
I'm tabling my next motion. Motion to, no, am
No.
I, I'm tabling both of them?
No.
No.
No, I'm sorry.
Do the first one.
It's just because they both said IMA, I'm sorry. Motion to approve intermunicipal agreement between the Village of Warwick and the Town of Warwick for provision of grant consulting services for calendar year 2026 from Millennium Strategies LLC in return for an annual payment in the town of $5,000, payment to the town of $5,000 and to authorize the mayor to sign the intermunicipal agreement.
Second.
Okay.
Discussion there?
Oh, yeah.
So I have not worked with Millennium specifically. Any thoughts on what is the value there relative to the cost?
I think they do have some value. It's not very much money, of course. For example, when we were working on the New York Forward application, they were a good depository of information to glue it together, then with a lot of our guidance. But you can't, you need to be in it, you know.
Regardless, yeah.
Regardless, no matter what.
It's not like you can hand it off completely.
Not at all.
No, and
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's definitely worth, because it's $5,000 a year. And what they do is they make sure that we're aware of grants that we might be eligible for, which is very
Very
labor
valuable,
intensive.
yeah.
And, you know, even though I was like searching all the time, still missing stuff. And then because they have like a lot of knowledge about these grants, when there's a grant that we're interested in, we're able to schedule a meeting with them to discuss our application, and then they can advise us on our competitiveness, and then they'll also reach out to and engage with the funders on our behalf, and then they'll also help compile the application.
Okay.
So I don't know how they actually do this for the funding that they get for this, but it's definitely
Okay,
worth it.
thank you.
It's
Yeah.
I'm good. Yep.
valuable.
Okay, so we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and I'm tabling my next motion,
Mhm.
pending further discussion.
And Mayor?
Motion to approve the interfund transfer from infrastructure reserve funds to capital projects fund. Maple Avenue Pump Station relocation for their Maple Avenue Pump Station project approved on April 7th, 2025.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I have a motion to accept proposal from Labella Associates DPC dated December 16, 2025 to provide engineering services for Warwick Commons Stage 5 third-party building code review and inspections, Building 4 and Clubhouse, and authorize the mayor to sign the professional services agreement for on-call building code review services.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And Barry, I think you have.
Yep. Motion to approve and authorize the mayor to sign change order number 2 with Joseph Warren Electric LLC for the well number 3 water treatment plant electrical contract for an electrical trench and new service at a cost of $7,267. This cost will be covered by the project contingency as recommended by Pitt and Garrow and Dosch Consulting Engineers, PC.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to authorize the mayor to execute and sign the Spectrum lease agreement between the Village of Warwick and Census USA Inc. and Census Spectrum LLC including any related FCC filings and associated documents necessary to effectuate the agreement, subject to review and approval by Village Council.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And that's it on motions tonight. Public comment?
None.
Final comments from the board?
Couple of things. One, the residents, customers of our water system, for the most part, received a letter regarding the lead service line inventory that's being conducted. And there was also a little follow-up, because the letter is dictated basically by the state health department as to what you need to include in it. It doesn't necessarily always get to the point. And so we've put out on the website, the village website, a kind of a more explanatory and briefer document that hopefully is more understandable. If you have any questions, feel free to contact the water billing clerk at Village Hall.
Okay.
And we're still in a drought, even though we have had rain. I don't have any recent updates from the water department as to the reservoir levels.
Oh, they did today.
Did we get some today?
Yeah,
Text?
I believe so. Yeah.
I didn't see that one. Well, why doesn't somebody else go ahead?
Okay.
Okay.
Wiggle.
I'll go next. Yeah, I have a couple quick updates. One regarding the survey for the backyard chickens, which was released along with the winter newsletter. We've gotten 50 responses so far. So watching those come in. So that's very informative, both in terms of, so there's statistical feedback in there, but also free response feedback. So that'll all be shared with the committee, and we'll also share the results, obviously, on the website, like we've been sharing all of the meeting minutes. Also, the Safe Streets for All project has a kickoff with a stakeholder advisory group, the townwide transportation safety plan work. So they're kicking off on Thursday. And we'll have a townwide public meeting, we think late January, beginning of February. And we're also knee-deep in planning the second annual Winter Wiggle, which we'll probably talk again about in a couple weeks, but really excited about that. There will be a table for Safe Streets for All there as well, so folks can come and learn more, and we'll be promoting the public meeting. But there'll be square dancing again, and there will be a number of organizations there to share information about ways to get involved in our community, and we'll also have a lot of brochures and information from other organizations, and food donated from local restaurants. I think it's going to be a really wonderful event again.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
So we are beginning to show some signs of recovery. The upper reservoir is full. The lower is about where it's been for the last 3 or 4 months, so back to September. And then the middle reservoir is down 27 feet. So that's where it's depleted. With the upper now overflowing, that will begin to refill that. So.
Yeah. Very good. Thank you.
Thanks.
Mary, do you have anything?
Yeah, just my mental health check-in as we come into post-holidays and what seems to be the darkest and coldest months of the year. If you are in need of mental health resources, please reach out. And don't forget, there's also the mental health crisis hotline at 988, which is available 24/7. I also wanted to let you know that as Vice President of the Town of Warwick Historical Society in 2026, I will be acting as the President interim until April, when the Historical Society will have their annual meeting and announce a new President and Vice President.
Okay.
And I will still be the Historical Society liaison.
Good. Congrats.
Thank you.
More work. Tom?
No report.
No? Yeah, I have no report tonight either. Could we have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Oof. How did I put this so far? I can't even reach it now. My arm shrink.
Made it. So did I.
Yeah, you made it too. I know.